During his joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on February the 4th, President Trump said, quote, "We will be making an announcement on that very specific topic in the next 4 weeks." Now, he was speaking about the issue of Judea and Samaria and sovereignty over that issue. Now, there are those that are here in Israel who are eagerly awaiting a statement from the new administration on the future of Judea and Samaria. Well, in the meantime, legislation has been introduced here in the Israeli Knesset to declare sovereignty over the biblical heartland of Israel. With me now to discuss this is Israeli Knesset member Ohad Tal, who introduced that legislation. MK Tal, welcome to Washington Watch, or I should say welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and welcome to Jerusalem.
Well, it's great to be here. We've had some very productive meetings this week and some visits throughout Judea and Samaria, which, you know, we cannot say this enough for our audience in the United States. Judea and Samaria is both the heartland of geographically of Israel, but it's also the heartland historically of the right. Jewish people and of the nation. And it's always baffled me, why is this even in question as to who has sovereignty over this area?
That's a wonderful question. But by the way, I want to use this important platform of yours to say to all our friends in America, to invite them to come to Judea and Samaria, to come to Israel, but especially to come to Judea and Samaria and see for your own eyes, what is this place, to feel, to smell, to get the sense of what is even happening. Because, you know, I believe many people, they hear about Judea and Samaria only through media. And in the media, they present it in a very, very specific way. And I think it's important for people to come to feel and to see with their own eyes what is actually happening in the land. And yes, Judea and Samaria, that is, as you've said, the biblical heartland of Israel. This is where all the stories of the Bible, this is where they took place. This is where the patriarchs and matriarchs have walked and are buried. This is where all the stories of the Bible happened. And the time has come to acknowledge that and to really to apply full Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria.
And of course, when those on the ideological left talk about Judea and Samaria, they say West Bank, which incorporates all the way, I mean, some of the most historic and significant sites. Like this week, I was at Joshua's altar, the first place where the children of Israel, when they came in, really became a nation as they set up the altar and recounted the cursing and the blessing from Deuteronomy. That's one of the spots. Shiloh, where the tabernacle stood for 369 years, and even the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, that is considered the West Bank. How can that be?
You're right. This is part of the lie who try to take away the Jewish narrative and to sell another false narrative. You know, it's called the West Bank simply because the Jordanians took over that area after the 1948, the Independence War of Israel. They took over of those places, and they call it the West Bank of the Jordan Valley. But you know, that story actually gives us the whole issue because you know, for 19 years, since 1948 until 1967, for 19 years, the Arabs had this whole area for themselves. Jews were not allowed to get into the West Bank, into Judea and Samaria. Why didn't they establish a Palestinian state in those areas if this is really what they want? But that only reveals the lie, the false of these claims, because they don't really want to have a state of their own in Judea and Samaria, or in the West Bank, as they call it. They only want to use the two-state solution as their way forward of destroying the Jewish state. This is what they want, and this lie just exposed that. And we have to stop lying to ourselves, stop fooling ourselves, and realizing the truth. And the truth is that the Judea and Samaria should be part of the modern state of Israel.
2 years ago, there would be those that would say that's just hyperbole. You're just inciting division. But in the wake of October the 7th and what happened in Gaza, a piece of land that represents, I mean, Judea and Samaria is 24 times larger than Gaza. You can see just from that experiment that this two-state solution is not a solution at all.
You're right, because in 2005, we actually withdrew from the Gaza Strip. We expelled 8,000 of our people out of Gaza. We took even people out of their graves, and we gave it all to the Palestinians. We effectively gave them a state of their own, and that experiment has miserably failed on October 7th. We all discovered that dividing God's land, giving pieces of that to the Arabs does not help promote peace or bring stability and prosperity to the region. It only does the opposite of that. Right. And the time has come, again, to realize this truth and to change the course of history.
MK Tal, we just have about 40 seconds left, but as you've introduced this legislation, I've seen there is a change in the mindset here in Israel that now is the time to declare that sovereignty over this historically, biblically destined land.
You're right. We are very hopeful and we are praying God. We are certain, again, that with what is happening here in Israel and with the leadership of President Trump, we will see a change in the right direction, and the people of Israel will recognize our sovereignty, and I hope the nations will also recognize the Jewish sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. That is the right way forward. That will only bring more peace, stability, and prosperity to everybody.
Ohad Tal, thanks for being with us.